Blessed friends, welcome to Hayek Kadosh Ministries, where holiness is a lifestyle and Jesus Christ is truly King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Well, today is February the 21st of the year 2017, and this is One a Day for the Soul. Now, our text this morning is going to be taken out of Matthew chapter 10 and verse 39, which says, "He that finds his life shall lose it, and he that loses his life for my sake shall find it." Now, we hear these words and we read these words throughout the New Testament very often. But do we actually stop and consider, and do we truly live out what they mean? He who shall lose his life. The book of Luke chapter 14 says, "He who hates his life shall find it." So what does it mean to lose our lives? What does it mean to hate our lives? Well, all we have to do is just stop for a moment and consider the fact that we were born into this world. The earth as we know it and all around us is the world that we live in. And so as we grow in this world, we begin to take on several different aspects of this world. And we begin to pursue the things that this world has to offer. And so when the Bible tells us to lose our lives, what it's saying is, I want you to forsake your dreams. I want you to forsake your pursuits. I want you to forsake your desires, your wants, your wishes. I mean, if you were going to sit down at the table, take out a piece of paper, and begin to write all the things that you would like to succeed in this life, what many would call your bucket list, what would that be? 1 to 50. What would that be? Have a lot of money in the bank, have a nice red sports car, live in a big house, go on exotic vacations, wear designer clothes, have fancy customized jewelry, and the list would go on, of course. But what the Master of the universe is telling us here is, in order to really discover what liberty and true life is all about, we must forsake those things. We must abandon those pursuits. We must die to ourselves. And yet so many of us right here and right now would say, "Amen, preach on." And yet we still blindly surround ourselves with the things of this world. Look at what Matthew, just a few pages over, in chapter 13 tells us, and let's look at verse 22. Now, Jesus is describing the seeds of the sower here, and one of the seeds that the sower has cast out has been received among the thorns. And Jesus says the thorns pictured, represented in this story, are the cares of this world. In verse 22 of chapter 13, the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches. Well, what are the cares of this world? A roof over our heads, foods in our stomach, clothing upon our back. That would be the necessities of the cares of this world. But what are the other cares of this world? Paying our bills, keeping ourselves healthy, in other words, seeing the doctor, the dentist, taking care of those who depend upon us, our children, maybe our parents, maybe a spouse or other loved ones. These are the cares of this world. And so when we begin to fellowship and talk with one another, and we take such ideas as dying to oneself and losing our lives, realistically, these are the things that are talked about. Well, I live in this world. I have to take care of myself. I have to take care of those who depend upon me. That's the cares of this world, friend. And Jesus says the thorns that choke the seed from producing all it's meant to produce is choked out by the cares of this world. And so one side of us says, well, I have to do these things. But realistically, according to the Master, we don't. I mean, remember, Jesus himself didn't even have a place to lay his head. And we're supposed to follow his example. But we don't want to pay that heavy price. And so because of that, we allow the cares of this world to choke out and keep us from our full potential. That's what the Master's saying here. And he says not only the cares of this world, but the deceitfulness of riches. The deceitfulness of material things. They're deceitful, friend. And they put a cloak over our eyes so that we can't see clearly because we're blinded by what these things offer us. Now let's go back and read our text again. He that finds his life will lose it. But he who loses his life for my sake, following my example, he will find it. Friends, I don't know where you're at in your journey today, but I can tell you that when I go before the Most High and I say the words, take it all, I surrender all of it to you. Speak the word, and I will obey. Friends, I say that with the bottom of my heart because there's not anything in my life that I would not rid myself of for the sake of knowing Him in all fullness. And I hope that you can say the same words, friends. And I can assure you that those things that you think aren't important, friends, they are critically important. That's what Messiah is saying here. Don't blow off the simple things, because the simple things are the critical things. And I want you to be willing to abandon all of it for the sake of knowing me, truly knowing me. Could you do that today, friends? Could you leave everything that you know, that you hold dear and that is precious to you? Could you forsake it all in a moment of time, walk out your door and not look back if He said go? Could you do it? Ask yourself that honest question, because most of us would have to honestly admit, no, I couldn't do it. I wish I could say yes, but I couldn't do it. Well, friends, I'm so thankful that the Messiah has brought me to the place that, yes, in a moment of time, I will forsake all. I've already forsaken so much for the cause of knowing Him. And I'm simply waiting for Him to say, go and don't look back. And I'm gone just like that. You'll never hear from me again. But the question is, could you do it? Would you do it? That's where He's taking you to in your journey, so that moment by moment, step by step, all is left behind you, and the only pursuit that you have is to walk faithfully before Him as your Creator, knowing that you are going to be held accountable for each decision that you've made in this life. And no excuse is going to stand up in His presence. Friends, don't allow the cares of this world, don't allow the deceitfulness of material possessions and riches choke out the full potential that He has set before you. Fall upon your knees. Plead with the Master. Forsake all for the glory and the splendor and the awe of knowing Him, friends. Do this each day as He blesses you, and look for new opportunity to bring glory to the kingdom by the life that you live, that angels would stand back in shock and awe by the very way that you conduct yourself and live your life. I pray, friends, that that would be your heartbeat, that that would be your passion, that that would be your innermost desire. I love you, friends. Now, as Yahweh wills, and until next time, I will see you on the next video.